As a wildlife photographer, the rut is one of my favourite times of year. It's a great challenge trying to capture footage, audio and images of the deer as they compete for females and assert their dominance. My name's Raf Britton, I'm a wildlife photographer based in Ireland, and in this video I'm going to show you my experience of trying to capture the fallow rut in 2025. I'll show you how I set my hide up and how I concealed it. I'll show you what I saw while I was in it. I'll also show you the audio and footage I captured of the fallow deer while in my hide. So at this stage, it was early on in October, but I wanted to get the hide set up in a place where I knew it would remain for the rest of the rut. I knew that the sooner I had it up, the better my chances of it blending in and the deer being quite easy around it and being relaxed. My only issue was that where I previously had the hide, it didn't have the best view, so I had to move it. So I went out, in the rain, as you see, collected the hide, and had set it up in a new location. I had some trail cameras out, so I had a good idea of where I knew that the deer liked to go. So that allowed me to place the hide in an area that had a very good view of that location. So this is a view that I would be seeing for the rest of the rut, and I didn't realise how much time I'd be spending in that hide looking at this one area. Having set the hide up, I was very happy with the location it was in, but it was standing out too much, so I had to go and get some foliage to help make it blend in. I managed to find this tree, which had been blown down a few months prior. I figured it was only going to go to waste being there, so I took some branches off of it and used this to make the hide blend in. So with the hide well concealed, it was now time to go and check the trail cameras and see what had been around. This was a very exciting thing to do at this stage because it's all ahead of you. You don't know what you're going to end up seeing. So every time I checked these cameras, it was really exciting to think of what I might get to see coming ahead. As you see here, there was this beautiful buck who was holding court with these young females, and it was great to see. They were in the perfect location. I was very excited, and I was thinking I might get to actually record that buck and record some of these behaviours of the deer playing and just acting naturally. So the particular area that I chose to put the trail cameras, there was a bit of a path coming through, so the deer would end up walking across that. Sometimes they would stop, and that's the point that I was looking at. But I had a trail camera facing the point where they'd stop, and one sort of on the path, so they'd often be walking them down against it, and that's the footage you're seeing now. While on this path, I got to see the deer. It was also really good to see some foxes. Most exciting of all was seeing this big buck who had massive antlers. So I had a spare trail camera as well, so I decided that I'd put this out in a new location. I found this little area which I thought the deer were probably going to be at. I could tell by the sort of disruption to the ground and the general look of the area, so I decided why not put a camera out here, and that was it for day one. So that very first week of October, we had a storm. On that weekend, it was Storm Amy, and it was absolutely thrashing the hills. But since the hype was set up, I didn't want to sit at home and miss out. So I decided to venture into the woods. As you'll hear from this audio, it was hectic. The wind was very strong. So I ventured into the woods, spent the morning, and this is what I saw. After a few hours, the light slowly started to reveal the area of the forest where I was hoping to see the deer. With the light also came a bit of life in the form of a pied wagtail flying over, making it look cool. And this was nice as it broke up the sound of the wind in the trees. One thing I hadn't quite expected was the amount of time it would take to actually see wildlife. I had intended to see deer, but they weren't there very frequently. So you'd sit there for hours and see nothing, so I was absolutely delighted when this woodpecker came along and gave me something to look at. The little moments like these are so important because they really do help to keep you out there in the cold, and they give you hope to keep on waiting because you just don't know what you might see. So thankfully, this did come by. It was about 2 or 3 hours after I got in the hide, but it gave me that hope and that perseverance to keep on staying in the hide. And eventually, it did pay off. Right, so I got into the hide at about 20 past 6, and I've literally just seen my first couple of deer that I got some film of. I briefly saw one earlier, but yeah, 20 past 10, got my first bit of footage. It's 2 older deer and a younger deer, so these are all females by the looks of it. Still haven't had one of my big bucks, but I'm going to wait on and see if we have any joy. It's very windy as there's a storm at the minute. You'll probably have heard that in the audio. You can hear the wind just flying through the trees. It is cold as well, so I have a few layers on. You'd need it, and especially it's invaluable to have like gloves and a snood and a hat and stuff like that, because when you're sat still, you do start to feel it. So yeah, I'm happy to have seen those deer earlier. Also, actually, there was the woodpecker. Great to see that. So yeah, I'm gonna put my stuff away, check the trail camera, then head home, and I'll be back here tomorrow morning. So I was absolutely delighted on the way home. I came across this little deer, and you can see it's got a white foot, and I've actually seen it on the trail cameras, and I really wanted to see it in real life to try and get a shot or some footage. So this was brilliant to actually get to see it in person. Sadly, I didn't get the best view of its white sock, but still, it was great to see it. Frustratingly, I've spent another morning in the hide, and this was even worse. Did not see a single thing. I've been in here since 6. It's 11:45 now, so yeah, I think I'm gonna go for a stroll. I don't know if it's my mind playing tricks on me. I feel like I hear a sort of rumbling sound ahead of me. Could it be a fallow buck? Who knows? I'm just gonna listen out for a little bit longer. I might go for a walk and see if I can spot anything, because it is very, very quiet here today. Right, well, I'm not fully sure where I am, but I've just found some paths. I'm following them, just deer paths, and yeah, there's no signs of, like, recent signs of deer. I've not seen any deer, so it's making me feel a bit better, but I haven't not seen them. I just kind of sat in the hide thinking, God, I've not seen any deer, you know, a couple of days in a row now. I was thinking, could there be other spots that maybe are better suited to them? So I'm just out for a wander. Yeah, so far there's nothing obvious. It is, yeah, a good place for deer. So, oh, and there's someone's dog. Hello, dog. Hey, hello. It's all right. Hey. So yeah, whose dog is that? I do not know. But yeah, I'm gonna go and try and find a path and start to head back down to places that I know. So, good adventure though. I've walked for quite a while and no deer to be seen, but there was a particular area which I thought perhaps there could be some deer, and there are signs of rutting. So I imagine a male may have been marking his territory there. So there's signs of what we want, just no deer, and I'm not hearing anything. So it could just be too early. You know, hopefully in the next couple of weeks I'll start to hear them grunting, because that's what I want to try and capture. It's just sometimes when you're sat in one place thinking, oh, they could be anywhere, and you start to think, am I hearing a distant grunt? So that's why it was nice to get out for a look, but I haven't actually heard any grunts, so it's all in my head. My mind is playing tricks on me. So yeah, hopefully next week I'll go back to the hide and we might have some luck. So I think it's time to head home. If I see anything, I'll let you know. Well, I didn't see anything interesting on the way home. I did check the trail cameras, and when I got home I was quite happy to see there's a little bit of behaviour that would indicate that the deer are getting into their stride with the rut. Seeing them scraping at the ground and sort of marking their territory is a great thing to see. And it's also good just to see different males in the same area, because they're probably going to be the ones competing for the females literally in the next week or two. It was also the moments like this that really inspired me to get out. It made me think, if I was only in my hide as this deer came through, that's it, I'd be seeing the bucks that I want. I'd be able to get such good footage, in particular this moment where the deer stood there in the perfect position, and it even does a little bit of a movement like he's grunting. If I was in my hide at this moment, I'd have been absolutely thrilled, and this is what I'd end up chasing for the rest of the rut. Having had limited success in my first week, I was still hopeful, because of the footage on the trail cameras, I might have some luck. So I set off into the hills for another weekend, and this was a stark contrast to the previous weekend. I don't think I've actually ever seen the woods as still as this. Now, although it wasn't one of my really big bucks, it was still a buck, and this was a massive boost of my self-esteem. I was really happy to see that where I'd set my hide up, where I'd put all the effort in to conceal it, the deer was still comfortable enough to come to that location and to stand there and allow me to get some footage. I got to watch this deer for a good couple of minutes and make quite a few different shots. As you see, I got some nice wide shots, I got some really close-up shots, so this was fantastic. And thankfully this happened early on, and it really inspired me to get out as the weeks went on. For those of you that haven't done this sort of thing before, I was frequently getting up at 5 AM, getting into the hide for 6:30, you'd sit there till 11 or 12, and you might see a deer for 30 seconds or a minute of that, or you might not see one at all. So these little moments were so important in keeping your self-esteem high, keeping hope high, and just getting you back out in the hide during those cold early mornings. So this is a really good example of showing how well these deer blend in. If you're not tuned in to seeing them, it is very hard to spot them, and that's why it's best to let them come to you. Or quite often, if you just stand still, you might see them move. But if you're moving and they're still, you have a very small chance of actually seeing them before they see you. So this is my second week of October, and I was absolutely delighted to have had success and seen a deer in this location. My dream though was still to see one of the big bucks with the big antlers in that same spot. So with that hope, I went out into the woods to see what I could find. And this was fantastic. It wasn't quite the big buck, but it was a buck. So I will say no more, and I'll let you see what happened. So this is it. This is exactly what I wanted to go out and record. This sound is grunting, and this is what the fallow deer do when they're rutting. So only the males do this, and they do it to try and attract a mate. They also do it to assert their dominance. It's a very unique noise, but I find it quite fascinating. So I was absolutely thrilled to be hearing it, because that means I'm in the middle of the rut, I'm in the right place at the right time, and it is happening at this moment. At this point, my microphones were set up very low, and you kind of hear that in the audio. As the deer goes over the hill, there's a big barrier of mud between the microphones and the deer making the noise, so you don't really hear the sound as well. When the deer comes back into view and it starts grunting in the direction of the microphones, you hear it really well and it sounds amazing. What's lovely as well, because the microphones are omnidirectional, they pick up the sound from all around. So you can hear the other animals in the woods, like the ravens, they were very vocal. So all in all, this was the best day, and I absolutely loved it. So having had success on this morning, I was very hopeful that I might hear some more grunting and potentially get some better footage. So I sat tight in the hide and I waited a bit longer, but it wasn't meant to be. I didn't get any more grunting footage or audio. However, something else came along, which I didn't expect, and because of my microphone placement, I actually managed to get some very interesting audio. So again, I'll let you see, I won't spoil it for you. For me, this is very unique. I was very happy to get this. It was absolutely brilliant to watch this woodpecker. I really enjoyed it. It was nice just to watch it going about its business, and I was really excited to be able to capture the sound of it pecking the branches. And it's simply because my microphones were near to the branches and it picks up that sound very well. So I had a lot of fun watching it, listening to it, and it came quite close. It was a little bit obstructed by some foliage, so it wasn't the clearest footage, but regardless, it was still great to get to see it. And this is what I really enjoyed about being in my hide, is you just don't know what's going to come by, and it's lovely having a variety of wildlife that comes to you and it's comfortable and it acts natural. It might be inquisitive, but it's not running away or uneasy. So it's a real treat to be able to spend time in the hide like this. Hello, so this is my third week out looking for the deer. It started off slow, but it is slowly starting to pick up a bit. So I have, last weekend, got my first bit of footage of a buck that was grunting. Now, it wasn't as close as I wanted. It was, audio-wise, pretty good, but I'd still like to improve on it if I can. So far, I've been getting up in the mornings at around 5, and then managing to get into the hide for around 6:30. I then sort of sat out for 5 or 6 hours until around sort of 12 or 1. So today, I'm trying something different. Going out later, it's near 1 o'clock. Sit in the hide for a couple of hours. I'll check the trail cameras, see what's been around in this past week.
Well, unfortunately, I've had no joy. I've not seen sight nor sound of a deer this morning. I can't say that I'm even seeing patterns with their behaviour, like if it's a wet day or a windy day, you know, because I've just not really seen them much at all. I heard them a few times in the evenings, but very quiet. On the trail camera there was a little bit of footage of them grunting, but not a ton. Yeah, it's tough. It's middle of October and not having much joy, but I'll try to get out in the evenings, see if I can capture any good audio of them grunting. And yeah, we'll be back next weekend. Yes, I've not had a whole lot of joy, as I say, but there are signs that deer have been here. There's some disturbance to the ground. I was actually here yesterday. I saw this. There's good evidence of something going on. So whether that's a buck who's been rutting or just does, I'm not sure. But the mud patch here is also altered. So yeah, but what is exciting, I checked this trail camera yesterday. I didn't take the SD card, I'm just going to get it now, but I did hear clashing of antlers and it looked like it was going on right here. Now it is at night, from what I can see on there, so you might not be able to see much, but I'm still excited to have a look. So even if I don't see them in person, I'm still getting some sort of footage. So I've had a trail camera and it was over that direction a bit more. The camera that we were just looking at is up in this direction. And what I'm finding is the deer, sometimes I'll see the bucks, they'll come through from there. I thought maybe they're going that way, but I didn't get anything in the past week and they have been on this camera, so it's a bit of a path here. And I know further down the wood, there's a little place down there where there seems to be a bit of a point where some of the deer go to. So I'm going to try set up your camera, the one from over there. I'll try put it here. We'll see. So hopefully any deer coming straight down here, it'll capture. If I can angle it right, because there is a path going here, I might get some that come across. So we'll put it up, and then in a week we'll check it again. Hopefully there'll be some activity, because over there, a little bit disappointed, a bit quiet. There's only a few small deer, a few does and things. But I want the big bucks, I want to know where they're going, so we'll pop this up and we'll get out of here.
So while on my way back, I saw a glimpse of this deer coming in my direction, and I didn't have any time to get my tripod or audio equipment out, so I just had to get set with the camera in the hands, freehand shoot, and I managed to get a clip of this deer as it jumped the fence. It's quite a frustrating experience at times when you're trying to capture an event like this. So I knew that the rut would be going on for about a month, roughly, and it varies from year to year. When I first actually found out about the rut, I found a deer that was grunting, and I happened to just go out on the day. I found it there and then, and I didn't hear one since that year. The following year I tried, I had a tiny bit of success, got a small bit of footage, the audio wasn't very good. So this year, I kind of knew that my experience earlier in the month was probably going to be the best that I would get, but I was still hopeful that I might get some footage of one of the big bucks. So from now on, it was a little bit weird going out, kind of feeling like you're probably not going to get the footage you want, but you kind of regret it if you didn't try. So I had mixed emotions in the coming weeks when I was going out trying to find the deer. So it's now approaching my last few weekends out trying to capture the rut. I'm just out for a little stroll. Out a little bit later today just to see if there's anything around, because on the previous day as I was walking home I saw some deer and I hadn't seen them when I was in the hide. As I was walking there I just came across a doe, so got a few shots, nice little bit of footage, but I can see some off in the distance. So I'm going to take it slow and see if I can get near and just go check the trail cameras and see what activity there's been this week. And tomorrow morning I'll be in that hide if there's been good activity there. If not, I might try to be more mobile and see if that brings more success. But yeah, so far it's nice. I've not had the encounter I want, but I've had some nice encounters, so I will not complain. I was just walking along to check one of the cameras. I've heard the unmistakable sound of a squirrel up in the canopy eating pine cones. So I actually have my shotgun microphone with me and the tripod for it. So I just stood under the tree and recorded some of the audio. I'm going to try now set it on the tripod pointed at the tree and then also get some footage. So yeah, let's see how this goes. I think this could work. But yeah, just up in this tree, just here. Don't know if that makes any sense where I'm pointing, but yeah, I'll set up and see what I can do. And that was it. That was the end of the rut. I'd been and checked my trail cameras and there was no more signs of grunting or any sort of interesting behaviour that I wanted to record. So that was it. What happened in that second week was the highlight of the rut for me this year. That's just how it goes. It was a brilliant experience. I'm delighted with the audio and footage I got. I didn't quite get the footage of the bucks that I wanted, but look, next year I'll try and do that. And that is the fun of the rut. You just don't know what you're going to get. It's part of the thrill. You put out your trail cameras, you might find a big buck, and then you're hoping that you're going to meet that one in the flesh. And it might happen, it might not. You just don't know. And unless you put the time and effort in, you just don't know. So yeah, that's it. That is my experience with the rut in 2025. It was made interesting not only by the deer, but also by the other wildlife that lives in the area. It was brilliant to be able to record the audio and footage of the animals, and overall, I did have a lot of fun. It was worth the early mornings, it was worth being cold, it was worth the effort of having to trek all the way to the location. So overall, I'm very happy that I did this, and I'm happy with the memories and the content that I've managed to capture in the process. So that is it for my Fallow Rut 2025 video. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, please give the video a like. If you'd like to see more content like this, consider subscribing to my channel. And again, thank you for watching.